Hi, I'm Joni Patry, and welcome to my YouTube channel. Well, today I want to talk about the month of September because we are in a building period where things are building up till we reach the final crescendo, as I've been saying. There's one event after another. We are leading to a point of a great purging and a great clearing. And most of all from that, a great healing. So before we get going into all the details of September, I want to remind everyone to sign up for my free newsletter where you can get all of my predictions delivered to your email address every week. So go to galacticcenter.org, sign up for my free newsletter, and check out my new magazine, Joni Patry's Astrology Insights. You will get just volumes of information about astrology, spirituality, and we have quite the interview for the month of September with Dr. Joe Vitale from The Secret. So you won't want to miss this candid interview of all about Joe Vitale. So now let's get going because we have lots to talk about in today's predictions. So for the month of September, there are two major events that I feel like are the benchmarks for this month. And the very first one I want to talk about is Mercury is going to be retrograde. Now, normally we think of Mercury as retrograde being a major problem where everything goes haywire and, there's delays, setbacks, problems, but this is quite the different Mercury retrograde. I have to prepare you because this Mercury retrograde is where Mercury is going to be in its favorite sign, its sign of exaltation and sign of rulership, Virgo. Makes Mercury 10 times more powerful. And not only that, when a planet is retrograde, it's more powerful. Whatever that planet is about becomes our focus. Why? Because when a planet goes retrograde, it's actually closer to the Earth. Therefore, it's more prominent. What its qualities are all about are huge in our lives. And another thing that's important about this Mercury retrograde is it's going to be opposed Jupiter. So while Mercury is in its most powerful sign, Virgo, Jupiter is in one of its most powerful signs, Pisces. And these two planets are gazing at each other. They are really reflecting off each other. Jupiter, when it aspects any planet, and an opposition is truly powerful. It's like the conjunction. It casts its light and energy onto Mercury the whole month. And what does this mean? Jupiter's all about spirituality and truth. It is the philosopher. It is the spiritualist. And with this energy, it's all about learning and teaching. Actually, in Vedic astrology, Jupiter is called Guru. And that's really powerful. And Mercury is called Buddha. So you're looking at these powerful planets aspecting one another this whole month. And what is that going to bring? Mercury is all about intelligence. It's about how we think. It deals with the mind, consciousness, how we process all of our information. Therefore, people with the strong Mercury are highly intelligent. So with that and Jupiter's aspect, it's going to bring out wonderful things dealing with mind and consciousness and development into our intelligence. It's truly an amazing aspect. And here's another thing. When a planet is retrograde at 2 points in the stage, when it turns retrograde and direct, it is standing still. So throughout this month, we have major openings for mental clarity and awareness. Now, why is a planet stronger when it's retrograde? When you think, every time Mercury goes retrograde, it's everything goes haywire and goes crazy because people don't use the energy. It's like the ebb and flow of the tide. When it's moving forward, the tide moves forward. But when it moves retrograde, it pulls back, because it's time for us to pull back, reflect, and review everything that's been going on. And with clarity of mind, with Jupiter aspecting, magnifying the intelligence and the power of Mercury being in Virgo, this is remarkable. And another thing about when planets go retrograde, it's a time for review, right? So it's a time for reflection. And essentially what I think this is all about, it's time for us to pull back and analyze everything that hasn't worked out from the past. And let me just say, this is going to really affect major world events with the war, with the virus, because now's the time that we reflect, look back, review, but clarity comes. That's what's so amazing about this time. There is this time of brilliance and clarity. So this Mercury retrograde is going to bring out clarity and transparency, where we're going to see the facts and the truth because of Jupiter's beauty and aspect. This Mercury, this is amazing. So let me give you when Mercury actually does go retrograde, because Mercury will turn retrograde on September 9th, and it will turn direct on October 2nd. But there's going to be 3 exact oppositions of Mercury as it's going back and forth to Jupiter. And when will those exact oppositions be in effect? Well, September 9th, Mercury will be 2 degrees of Virgo, and therefore this means it's going to be exactly opposed Jupiter. Now, another thing is September 18th, Mercury is going to be exactly opposed Jupiter again, and that's going to be at 10 degrees of Virgo. And then October 11th, Mercury is going to oppose Jupiter for the 3rd and final time at 7 degrees of Virgo. So they're all pretty much in the first 10 degrees of Virgo. This is, if you have any planets, let me say at those degrees, you're going to have some awakenings where the light bulb is going to go off, and you're going to have some new realizations. This is really powerful. So I want you to know that this is incredible. And remember, when Mercury is at those degrees, Jupiter is exactly opposite. So you get this double aspect from Jupiter and Mercury. And this is going to bring the light to awareness in our mind, thinking. All of a sudden, we're going to see the reality of things. How beautiful can that be? So this is an awakening in the month of September. And as I'm going to be calling it, it's when all the cover-ups are going to be lifted and the truth will be seen through this Mercury, the intellectual guise of Mercury. And the way we communicate with people is going to change. And the media, remember, Mercury rules the media. But Mercury being in Virgo, let me explain something too about these Mercury retrogrades. Mercury will go retrograde about 3 times a year. And every year when Mercury goes retrograde, it will be in the same element, which during 2022, Mercury is retrograde in the element of Earth. So you're going to see that Mercury in the Earth sign Virgo. What is Virgo all about? What is it going to surface as well? Well, Virgo is extremely detailed and very analytical, but it deals, and Earth signs deal with money. And it also deals with work and work ethics, but it also deals with food, diet, nutrition. So everything to do with diet and nutrition and food and how food gets to our tables is going to be brought to light. And there'll be a healing with all of this. But do not forget that Virgo rules health and healing. And I think with Jupiter's aspect to Mercury, all that's been going on with all these viruses around the world are going to be exposed. What is really going on? Is there something political about these viruses? Where did it come from? All of the clues that's going on about health and healing and our food and how we stay healthy is going to be revealed. So watch this month as things are coming out. But as usual, there's always all these cover-ups. And most of us will think, oh, that's not true. But the facts will speak for themselves. This Mercury retrograde is powerful, and Mercury retrograde, being in Virgo, aspected by Jupiter, is about learning, and it's also about travel. So I say it's a good time to travel, even though it's retrograde. Why? You may have some hang-ups getting to your destination, as always, delays, but once you're there, it's a time to reflect and relax and review your life. This is where the truth and power comes in. And I am talking about your personal life. This is where the light bulb's going to go off. You're going to realize things you didn't know. And this is always healing, because as I always say, the truth heals. So I want to go back to the very last time, because remember, astrology is cycles. What we do as astrologers, we look at these very rare events and we go back historically to see what happened. And the cycles are what are going to reveal what these patterns are trying to tell us, so we can prepare. Remember, astrology is for preparation so that we can better be equipped and prepare. So Jupiter in its cycle goes through all 12 signs of the zodiac about every 10 to 12 years. Now Mercury, remember, I'm not talking about Jupiter just opposing Mercury. I'm talking about Jupiter being in Pisces and opposing Mercury while it's in Virgo, retrograde. When was the last time that, and by the way, another thing that's adding to this digging up things from the past is the fact that Jupiter is retrograde as well. So you see, retrogrades are going back and seeing things historically from what happened before and uncovering it. For realization, through the reflections, we have realizations. So the very last time Jupiter was in Pisces, opposed retrograde Mercury was in October of 1975. Yes, October of 1975. That they were opposed, but at that point in time, they were actually in the later degrees of Pisces and Virgo. But still, this is very, very important, because let me tell you what happened in the year of October of 1975. There was a recession caused by OPEC's oil and exuberant gas prices. So OPEC caused the gas prices to be off the charts. And I happen to remember back then, the gas lines for cars went on for blocks and blocks. It was far worse than it is today. Okay? So, yes, my dog, the mailman, must be here right now. So, but anyway, this is historical, because that's what's happening now. Gas prices are out the roof, just like before. Another thing that happened during that year was, and get this, the government had exorbitant, extreme spending in the United States. So I'm talking about the United States, but remember, this is a global event that's happening everywhere. But what were they spending money on? The Vietnam War. What is the United States government spending $30, $40 billion on today? The Ukraine war. very similar. So war and gas prices, but there's wonderful hope here. Let me tell you why. Because the year of 1975 was the year that the Vietnam War ended. Oh my God, that was a horrendous war. And so there's hope that things that are evolving right now will bring an end to these wars and these problems with oil and gas. So we've got hope that this clarity is going to bring us to a realization to heal. Yes, get ready. Things are about to heal because these planets, Jupiter and Mercury, are empowering each other. And retrograde just brings the past into clarity. And you know, as I said, it is a time for learning, for deep, deep learning. Why do you think I am having and let me tell you what I'm doing in September. I'm going to have the most extensive, powerful class on the outer planets. It is a weekend workshop. Block these days on your calendar, September 10th and 11th. And it is the full moon on September 10th, so this is a beautiful time to open our minds. And this Jupiter-Mercury is going to open your mind to learning, because I have a weekend workshop. Go to my website, galacticcenter.org, and look and sign up for my outer planet weekend workshop. You're going to learn everything about it and then some, because these are the determinants that determine our future in our personal lives as well as in the world. So save those spots if you're any at all. And it doesn't matter if you're Western or Vedic astrologer, you're going to love that class. So sign up for it. But going back to the second benchmark, the first benchmark for this month is the Mercury retrograde opposing Jupiter and all the clarity and realization that it brings. And what does that bring? A lot of anger and a lot of upset in the world, let me tell you, because towards the end of the month, we have a lot of rebellious action. There's going to be chaos. Looking at the end, the second benchmark is the Uranus-Saturn square. Now, they are going to be squaring off the end of September, and actually they will be squaring off exactly both at 24 degrees, Saturn at 24 degrees of Capricorn and Uranus at 24 degrees of Aries, and they will be exact September 24th through October 6th. And here's another reason why this heavy square that I have been talking about is going to be so potent. Well, first of all, this aspect happened 3 times in 2021. That is Saturn squaring off with Uranus. They go back and forth and keep squaring. This is the 4th and final one. But at this point, both Saturn and Uranus are moving extraordinarily slower. When a planet moves slow, it's more powerful. And so therefore, when they station, they're stopped, and their power is so extreme, multiplied by hundreds. It's the exact time events happen. So I'm looking at Saturn and Uranus are moving slow. Uranus is retrograde. October, it's retrograde, and it turned retrograde on August 24th. There's so many 24s here, it's crazy. But on August 24th, Uranus turned retrograde, and it is still moving at an incredibly slow pace. And Saturn will turn direct October 22nd at 24 degrees. So it's situated at that 24 degree marking for a couple of months. And let me tell you something. If you have any planets at around 24 degrees in your sidereal birth chart, not tropical Western, sidereal Vedic astrology, if you have a planet around 24 degrees of a cardinal sign. What are the cardinal signs? Remember, Saturn's in Capricorn, Uranus is in Aries, and the opposition to Saturn will be Cancer. 24 degrees of Cancer, or opposed Uranus is 24 degrees of Libra. This is the cardinal cross in the zodiac. If you have a planet there, look out. Something big will be transforming in your life. This is for certain. And furthermore, remember that triple conjunction that just happened August 1st was at 24 degrees of Aries. So that sensitive point in the zodiac, Uranus is still sitting there. Saturn comes to the point where it sets off a square. This square, these hard aspects between Saturn and Uranus only happen around every 11 years, a conjunction, opposition, and square. And every time they have something to do with earthquakes, many earthquakes, terrorist attacks, and airline crashes. So this will be heating up towards the end of September. And another thing about all this is Saturn rules governments. So what do I foresee with that? Major breakdowns and rebellions against governments around the world. It's been already happening, but we haven't seen nothing yet. It's all starting to heat up. This is the major second benchmark for the month of September, that you're going to see everything with the old outdated governments ending. Can't go on anymore. This is an amazing time. And with this Mercury going retrograde, I mean, hindsight is 2020. And that's what we're seeing with Mercury turning retrograde. It's going to bring in all the facts, and we're going to be able to see them clearly, especially with Jupiter. Now, another thing that sets the tone for this month is the fact that Mars is in Taurus for this entire month. Mars is going to turn retrograde, so it's starting to slow down. It's going to turn retrograde October 30th. I've been warning and telling you, this is where things are going to really heat up with massive anger. Mars is in Taurus. It's going to go through the entire sign of Taurus between October 10th till October 15th. And on October 15th, it goes into Gemini, where it's going to stay for just a short time till November 13th. And then because it's retrograde, starting to move backwards, starting October 30th, it's going to, by November 13th, go back into Taurus, where it's going to stay till March 12th. Now, the last time that Mars was retrograde in Taurus was, there's two times historically I pointed out, 2008 and 1991. And I said this before, but I'll say it again. During those 2 years, there was a serious recession. And that's what we're looking at again with everything that's been transpiring through the world with war and virus and shutdowns. Yes, this is a serious recession that's happening throughout this year and into the early part of 2023. Now, this is all building in the effects because what we have ahead for us is not only Mars turning retrograde on October 30th, but of course the solar eclipse, which happens October 25th, and the lunar eclipse on November 8th. Between October 25th to November 8th, we have the eclipse season between the solar and lunar eclipse, and that is where it all breaks out. This is what we're leading up to. So during this time, this is an incredible time for you to work on yourself. Use this Mercury, this powerful Mercury, to really look deeper into your life as to what can be healed and what can be improved, because you're going to see it. Because what is my message for this month to you? My spiritual message. It is to listen to your inner guidance. That inner voice is going to be speaking to you louder than ever before. Listen. This is what it's good for. And it's going to be giving you all the information you need for healing your life. And don't worry, the world is going to be healed too. Maybe not as fast as all of you want it to happen, but it is happening. I promise you it's happening. This is what the astrology is bringing to the forefront for us to better know ourselves and know why everything's happening in the world, because this is one of the most powerful times in all of history for the world to transcend and change. And that also goes for your spirituality in your own life. Never has there been a time for more spiritual growth and awakenings. The light bulb is going to be going off for you. Clarity, transparency, 2020 vision into the world and into your life and the direction and course you need to go. You are being given inner guidance. Don't doubt it. Not for a minute. Look within and ask. This profound information will be given to you during this way. You will never be wrong. So I'm going to keep you on the lookout. Keep watching between now and October, because I'm going to be sending you very powerful messages as to everything that is transpiring throughout this time of massive transformational change. Expect the unexpected. That's what's going to be happening. And the world is going to be changing dramatically forever. We are now in the countdown. Get ready to take off. So with that, I'd like to close. Remember, if you want to take my class on Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto, you can sign up for it on my website, which is galacticcenter.org. And while you're there, sign up for my free newsletter. And last but not least, check out my magazine. It is amazing. I am so proud of it. Joni Patry's Astrological Insights. Go to galacticcenter.org. And always, if you want to study with me, join our community of astrologers. Check out my university website, University of Vedic Astrology.com. It is all self-paced. You can join anytime. Check it out. It's an amazing community, and you will find, I promise, many like-minded people in this group. So with that, thank you.